here in Al Jazeera that Pope Francis, the first Latin American leader of the Roman Catholic Church, has died.
Born in the heart of Buenos Aires, Argentina, Jorge Mario Bergoglio would one day become one of the most transformative religious figures of the 21st century. His remarkable journey from a modest upbringing to the global stage as the leader of the Roman Catholic Church is a powerful story of faith, resilience, humility, and tireless service. Early life. Jorge Mario Bergoglio was born on December 17, 1936, in the working-class neighborhood of Flores, Buenos Aires. He was the eldest of 5 children born to Mario José Bergoglio, an Italian immigrant and accountant, and Regina Maria Sivori, a homemaker with deep Argentine roots. His upbringing was simple but rich in love, discipline, and faith, shaped by the strong Catholic values of his family. Young Jorge's education began at the Salesian school, Wilfrid Barón de los Santos Ángeles, where he first encountered the deep social teachings of the Church. His later technical studies at the Escuela Técnica Industrial No. 27 Hipólito Yrigoyen led him to earn a diploma as a chemical technician, a field far removed from the priesthood he would eventually embrace. Yet, even in his scientific pursuits, Jorge carried an abiding sense of spirituality and compassion for others. At the age of 21, Jorge suffered a severe lung infection that required the removal of part of one lung. It was during this health crisis that he felt a profound calling, a moment of spiritual awakening that would change his life's direction forever. Choosing to leave behind a conventional career, he entered the Society of Jesus, also known as the Jesuits, in 1958. Jesuit formation and early ministry. As a Jesuit, Jorge underwent a rigorous formation process that involved years of philosophical and theological studies. He was ordained as a priest in December 1969, and his early ministry was deeply shaped by the Jesuit ideals of education, social justice, and service to the marginalized. In 1973, at just 36 years old, he was appointed Provincial Superior of the Jesuits in Argentina. This period was one of political turmoil in the country, marked by violence, repression, and the so-called Dirty War. Father Bergoglio's leadership during these dark times was cautious yet compassionate, often working behind the scenes to protect and shelter those at risk. Though later controversies would question the extent and nature of his actions. Throughout these years, Bergoglio remained a figure of humility and service, living simply and advocating for the poor and disenfranchised. His ministry was not about grand speeches, but about direct action, visiting slums, comforting the sick, and standing alongside the most vulnerable. Recent to Archbishop. In 1998, Jorge Mario Bergoglio was appointed Archbishop of Buenos Aires. His leadership style was distinctly different from many of his peers. Eschewing luxury, he chose to live in a modest apartment instead of the Archbishop's palace, cooked his own meals, and regularly took public transportation, traveling among the people he served. As Archbishop, Bergoglio was known for his pastoral closeness, spending time with the poor, visiting prisons, and emphasizing the Church's mission to serve rather than to be served. His sermons were simple, heartfelt, and often delivered in a language that ordinary people could understand and relate to. This deep connection with the everyday struggles of his fellow Argentines, combined with his unwavering advocacy for social justice, made him a beloved figure, not only among the Catholic faithful, but across the broader Argentine society. In 2021, Pope John Paul II elevated Bergoglio to the rank of cardinal. As a cardinal, he continued to live simply, directing much of the archdiocese's resources toward social programs rather than ecclesiastical luxuries. In the Vatican, he was known as a man of few words but deep thought, often seen as a quiet but steady presence among more flamboyant church figures. His humility, integrity, and pastoral focus garnered the respect of his peers, setting the stage for the historic events to come. The papal election. Following the unexpected resignation of Pope Benedict XVI in 2013, the first papal resignation in nearly 600 years, the Catholic Church faced a crucial moment. Cardinals from around the world gathered in the Sistine Chapel to elect a new pope. After 5 ballots, on March 13, 2013, white smoke billowed from the Sistine Chapel, signaling the election of a new pontiff. Jorge Mario Bergoglio had been chosen. He would take the name Francis, inspired by Saint Francis of Assisi, the beloved saint of poverty, humility, and peace. From his first appearance on the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Francis broke with tradition. He greeted the crowd with a simple "Buonasera," good evening, and humbly bowed before asking the people to pray for him. A new chapter for the Catholic Church had begun. Pope Francis's papacy has been defined by themes of mercy, inclusivity, and social justice. He has called upon the Church to be a field hospital after battle, a place of healing rather than judgment. He prioritized outreach to the poor, the migrants, and those living on the peripheries of society. His frequent visits to slums, refugee camps, and war zones underscored his belief that the Church must be with those who suffer. In an historic move, Francis became the first pope to visit the Arabian Peninsula in 2019, promoting dialogue between Christians and Muslims and advocating for religious tolerance in an unprecedented gesture of goodwill. His major encyclicals, such as Laudato Si in 2015, emphasized the urgent need for environmental stewardship and warned against the destruction of our common home. In Fratelli Tutti, he called for greater fraternity and social friendship across nations, religions, and cultures. Pope Francis also worked to reform the Vatican bureaucracy, improve transparency in financial dealings, and address clerical sexual abuse scandals, although these efforts were met with varying degrees of success and criticism. Challenges and controversies. No papacy is without its trials, and Francis's tenure has been no exception. His handling of the sexual abuse crisis drew both praise for his openness and criticism for perceived shortcomings in enforcing accountability. He faced resistance from conservative factions within the Church, particularly over issues such as welcoming LGBTQ+ individuals, relaxing certain disciplinary measures regarding marriage annulments, and his approach to divorced and remarried Catholics. Nonetheless, Francis remained resolute. Time and again, he emphasized dialogue over division, compassion over condemnation, and mercy over rigid legalism. Final years and death. In his later years, Pope Francis continued to advocate for peace, economic equality, climate action, and a church that welcomes all people. Despite declining health, he remained deeply engaged in the life of the Church and the world, adapting to the challenges of aging with grace and humor. On April 21, 2025, at the age of 88, Pope Francis passed away in Vatican City, surrounded by close aides and in the prayers of millions across the globe. Pope Francis's legacy endures not only within the structures of the Catholic Church, but in the hearts of millions worldwide. His life was a testament to the power of humility, compassion, and unwavering faith in humanity's capacity for goodness. He reminded the world that true leadership does not reside in titles, wealth, or power, but in service to others, especially the most vulnerable. Through his teachings, his actions, and his example, Pope Francis reshaped the image of the papacy for a new generation, inspiring countless individuals, Catholics and non-Catholics alike, to believe in a more just, compassionate, and united world. His voice may have fallen silent, but the echo of his message, to love without limits and serve without fear, will continue to resonate for generations to come. Pope Francis, a shepherd of peace, a bridge builder, a servant to all, a life not lived for himself, but for the world he so dearly loved.